Folks, and thanks for tuning in to NASCAR DFS preview with the Sports Chief. I'm your host, AustYn, so I'm a blogger with the Sports Chief, and it's been a little while since we came out with another weekly preview, so sorry for those out there that look forward to seeing those, but hopefully we can finish out the year pretty strong here. So our next stop is at Martinsville, so we have 5 to go, I believe, for the first Data 500 at Martinsville Speedway. So for those of you who do not know, Martinsville, of course, is a short track. It takes a lot of patience to run this race. It's a 500 lap race, which makes it a little tougher from a DFS perspective, because typically there's a driver that normally leads a lot of laps, and you kind of have to have him in order to win money. So we got to think about that. You've also got to look for value and things like that. I would say my strategy more for these races are more tournament strategies, although I do steer towards the cautious side for sure. But with these races, like I said, one driver can just make or break you pretty much. So yeah, it's been a little while since we did these videos here. Of course, if you look up Sports Chief, we cover a lot of things here. Hopefully, we got some big things coming in the future. We're doing a lot of travel blogs are getting posted up. A lot of the guys went to Europe, and that's been pretty exciting to read and interesting to read. So kind of see their story and see how it would be like to be, over in those European countries that they went to. So hopefully I can help you with the first Data 500 lineups here. So let's just go ahead and get started and see what we got here. So DraftKings has given us their salaries. So you have Kyle Busch starting in 13th at 11.8. Martin Truex Jr. starting in 3rd. He's at 11.4. Denny Hamlin starting in 1st on the pole at 11,000. Kevin Harvick starting in 22nd at 10.5. And Joey Logano starting in 10th at 10.1. So all of those guys are playoff drivers, and as you look, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski is our first non-playoff driver available on the slate. Ryan Blaney starting in 6th at 9.3. Kyle Larson in 14th at 9.1, and that completes your playoff drivers. So from then on, it kind of changes up. So while making this lineup, I typically, at these short tracks, I love watching them. I've been to Martinsville. It's a very fun track to go to, and next year they're actually running under the lights, which will be pretty interesting to see. But according to this race, you've got to look through the top guys here. Kyle Busch is at a very good value. He's starting in 13th. He's probably the favorite to win the race. He's the highest salary guy on here as well. And if he gets out front and he leads, those 12 points will come in handy. Those 12, you get a point for passing each position here. So that'll come in handy. Martin Truex starting in 3rd. Hey, he looked pretty quick in practice. But a guy that I just think will dominate, actually picked to win the championship, is Denny Hamlin. I do know he's starting on the pole. Yes, I know that I won't get any positive points for him passing anyone, but I do think Denny will lead a lot of laps. So I'm going with Denny Hamlin at 11,000. I believe Harvick and Kyle Busch will be chalk. So I fully believe those guys will be picked a ton. I do think Denny will be picked quite a bit. Denny has won here 5 times, and he has an average finish of 9.6 at Martinsville. And there for a little while, he pretty much dominated the place. I think he won 3 or 4 in a row back in the what do you call them, 10s, like 2010 or so. So I guess we're rounding out the 10s there. But yeah, so he was very good here. He hasn't won here since 2015, but I feel confident that he'll get the job done this week. He won at Kansas. He's on a different level this year for sure. This is arguably one of his best seasons, completely. So I'm going with Denny, and as you can see, I have an average salary of 7.8. So, as we scroll down through the drivers here, you want to go towards your 7-6 guys. Really, as I say every week, you got BJ, these guys down here, McLeod, Smithley. I kind of just scroll up a little bit Chastain would be the lowest guy, but I still wouldn't even consider Chastain this week. So Corey LaJoie is really the lowest driver I'm considering. Feel free to pick guys lower than that. That's all I'm doing. Again, going kind of safe. You can pick those guys, and there may be a lot of wrecks, kind of like the truck race today, which was, wow, that was pretty exciting. It was a lot of wrecks. So, looking at these drivers here, scrolling up, I did catch one driver that caught my eye. Was Paul Menard. Paul Menard is starting in 30th spot. Paul Menard has not finished lower than 30th this year, even at the big plate tracks. So why would he start now, right? That's what I said. So I'm going with Paul Menard at 7-1. Value-wise, he would, since I've got Denny not getting a lot of passes, I think Paul Menard can get a top 20. And even if he gets a top 20, that's 10 spots. And it's around like a 35, 30-point output, which, hey, that's his average, and that would be what I would expect, and that's what I would look for in that price point. Did help us out a little bit on salary, too. He was a little lower than average salary, so you're at 7.9, 7.5 here. So you know what? I'm going to go up here, and I was debating on these top guys, so I do think I can get another quality driver, 10K driver, in my lineup. Chase Elliott starting in second. I do think Chase will run well. I don't think Chase will win, and that's why I picked Denny Hamlin. So it would be shooting myself in the foot by doing that. Brad Keselowski starting in 15th. I just don't know about Brad right now. Brad was sitting very, very pretty in the last week as far as points goes, and he just flat out missed the cut, and he got dumped off. And that's a champion should drive a little. It was really just a choke job by that team. So I don't know where Brad is as far as their team, goes. I know that Brad and Ryan Blaney, they actually swapped pit crews. Blaney's guys weren't too happy about it. So that's interesting to see from those Penske guys. But I'm going to go with another champion here. I'm going to pick Joey Logano in 10th. Joey was fastest in, I believe it was the second practice. Yeah, he was fastest in. He also averaged lap runs. He wasn't the fastest. Clint Boyer and Eric Almirola dominated those in 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 lap runs. Those guys were up at the top. And Joey Logano was, top 10. He was there, and Joey is starting in 10th. Joey tends to run pretty well here at Martinsville. So I do like Joey starting in 10th. And that's what I'm going to go with, Hopefully he won't be picked as much as like a Harvick or Kyle Busch. I think those two guys will be stacked quite a bit. Truex, not going that route. So that gives us a salary of $72.66. And you know what? There's another guy, while I was looking for Paul Menard, you may have noticed it, a guy that's starting really low, and that's Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman is starting in 27th spot. I'm going with Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman is decent at Martinsville. Out of his 35 starts here at the track, he's got 16 top 10s. His average finish is 14.9. If Ryan can get 15th, that's 12 spots, and that's, that's a positive EV, and that's just a great value at 7.5. And I know that's a little pricey, but Ryan Newman is just a solid driver. He's a quality driver, and I really like that spot. He's got the Ford engines like Logano, and hey, Paul Menard's in Penske stuff too, starting in 30th. I really like that. So now we have 71.50, as you can tell. And here was a spot where I was debating heavily. Looking at the 7, so I'll cut Bowman out. So looking at Jimmy on down, Jimmy is going to be picked heavily. He's won here 9 times. He's got an average finish of 8.5, 8.5. So he's just very good here. It's kind of like a recency bias. He just hasn't been that well, performance-wise. Even at Martinsville, he's just not the level he was at. So Eric Almirola, like I said, man, he put on a clinic in practice speeds, and I really like him in 4th at 7,600. but his teammate is right below him, and Daniel Suarez. And I thought, you know what, Daniel Suarez is starting in ninth. It's very likely Daniel Suarez could finish ninth. Eric Almirola could finish ninth, and he would lose me points. So I'm going to go with Daniel Suarez. I just don't think Eric Almirola has a winning car. I think he has a winning car. I just don't think he's the guy that's going to put it, in victory lane. So I'm going with Daniel Suarez. Purely a safe move. Who knows? Suarez could put out a good finish for me. I believe he has 2 top 10s. No, I'm thinking of another driver. But I believe he does have a couple top 10s. He's run decent here. I think he got 9th or 10th in the March race. And, I think in the Ford car, I really like him. And now that gives us 7,000, which, looking at these drivers here, Stenhouse in 16th. That's a little higher than I would like. Chris Buescher in 20th. Not bad. Austin Dillon in 23rd. Dillon didn't run a lot of practice laps, which kind of scared me. Ryan Preece in 21st. Daniel Hemrick in 18th. Both of these guys actually had very good laps in the second practice. They were both like top 5, I believe. Ty Dillon in 29th. Ty actually has an average finish of 20th here. Bubba Wallace in 26th. Has won truck races here. Not a bad choice whatsoever. But I'm going to go with Austin Dillon. I'm going to go the safe route. I'm going to pick a guy that's starting in 23rd. I'm picking solely off the car. I do think his car is the best quality car out of all those mentioned. Stenhouse and Buescher are pretty close. But Dillon, hey, if he gets 15th, that would be amazing. And that's what I'm going with. So I'm going to clear it out here. That way you can see my final lineup. Denny Hamlin, hoping he leads 250-some laps out of the 500 and wins the race. That would be amazing. Joey Logano, just in case for that backup plan. Hey, and if he even gets a second-place finish, that's 8 positive points. I'm in the 50s and 60s there. Really like Joey. I'm going to scroll down quite a bit here before you see my next driver, which is Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman is my next driver there. Then Daniel Suarez. Ryan Newman at 7.5. Daniel Suarez at 7.3. Paul Menard at 7.1. Got a lot of those guys right there. And then Austin Dillon at 6.7. So there you have it. That's what the Sports Chief is rolling out. So best of luck to you at the first data 500 making your lineups this week. It's going to be a tough one. Going to be an exciting one, though. So hopefully my information that I gave you helped you in making your lineup. So best of luck to you again, and hope to see you soon. Hope to see you next week on the DFS slate in NASCAR. So enjoy it.